and welcome back to Swift Lessons for another rhythm guitar tutorial. In today's session, we're going to be branching out into jazz, learning 4 ways of playing the genre's most popular chord progression, the 2-5-1. I have a full study guide available for you at patreon.com/swiftlessons, and you can become a member there for just $1 a month, gain access to tons of extra resources for all my popular YouTube guitar lessons. Now, let's get started. Okay, close look at the fretboard, getting started with section 1 of this lesson. What is a 2-5-1 progression? Specifically, what do those numbers mean? So this part of the lesson is going out to the beginners out there, just some of the prerequisites that way you can understand what we're talking about in this lesson. So, chord progressions. They're created using the notes in our scales, most commonly the major scale. If you were to play the major scale in C, you would have the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so all naturals in the key of C, no sharps and flats. So each of the notes in that scale becomes a chord within the key, okay, in this case the key of C. Based on the available notes in the scale, each one of those notes is designated as either a major, minor, or diminished chord. So the first note in the scale, C, that's going to become C major, the root chord. Alright, the second note of the scale, D, that's going to become D minor. The third note of the scale, E, is going to become E minor, the minor 3 chord. The fourth note of the scale, F, becomes F major. The fifth note of the scale, G, becomes G major. The sixth note of the scale, the relative minor we call this one, is going to become A minor. And the seventh note of the scale, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is going to become B diminished. And then finally, we're back to the octave, C. Now, if you were to take out the second, fifth, and first notes of that scale, you would have D, G, C. The 2 note, or the 2 chord, is always minor. Alright, the 5 chord is major, and then the 1 chord is major as well. So a very, very basic 2-5-1 progression would be D minor, G major, and also C major. But it doesn't sound very jazzy. In order to make it jazzy, we need to turn them into 7th chords. So various types of 7th chords. Okay, jumping into section 2 of this lesson, the jazz 2-5-1 progression in the open position. Very beginner friendly. So, alright, there it is. We have the D minor 7 chord. Barring the first fret of the B and the high E string, your middle finger is going to go to the 2nd fret of the G string, nice and arched. Strumming from the D string down for that D minor 7 chord shape. Alright, then we're going to have the 5 chord, G7. My ring finger is on the 3rd fret of the low E string, middle finger, 2nd fret of the A string, playing that major 3rd, and my index finger is on the dominant 7. Alright, that is the 1st fret of the high E string. Okay, it's very important to me that you start to think in terms of the intervals inside the chord. Take time to know what notes they are, and also what interval in the scale they are, okay? Alright, then the final chord, we're going to have the 1 chord C major 7. 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string. Alright, the G, the B, and the high E string are open, strumming from the A string down. C major 7. Put all 3 chords together with their appropriate count. We're going to have D minor 7 for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, G7, 2, 3, 4, and then we're on to the 1 chord. We're going to double it 8 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there it is, the basic 2-5-1 progression in the open position for the beginners out there. Now, in jazz music, most of the time you're not going to be playing in the open position. Rather, we're going to utilize some shapes that a lot of people just call jazz shapes up and down the fretboard. So let's get started with that. Okay, moving on to section 3, jumping into what I'm calling the middle position. So this is going to look and sound like this. Starting with the D minor 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, the G dominant 7. 2, 3, 4, and C major 7. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so very, very useful shape. Every single minor 7 chord in the book can be created. We're going to bar. In this case, for the key of D, we're going to put our index finger barring across the 5th fret. The ring finger is on the 7th fret of the D string, and your middle finger is on the 6th fret of the B string. Every single minor 7 chord in the book. If you go to the open position, we have A minor 7, barring the 1st fret, B flat minor 7, B minor 7, C minor 7, C sharp minor 7, and back to D minor 7, and so on and so forth. Every minor 7 chord in the book. So that's what's so great about these jazz shapes. Okay. Then we're going to have very, very useful jazz 7th chord. So G dominant 7. My index finger 3rd fret of the low E string, middle finger down 2 strings to the D string 3rd fret, and my ring finger on the B string 3rd fret, the pinky going in between on the 4th fret of the G string. Alright, so far you have the D minor 7, the G dominant 7, and that is oftentimes replaced with a very flavorful G7 flat 13 chord. So just while I have you here, I'm going to show you one of my favorite variations to that G7 chord. Now, the index and the middle finger are staying right where they were, but I have my ring finger and my pinky on the 4th fret of the G and B string, just for a little extra flavor. A chord shape that demands to be resolved to the C major 7 chord. Okay, so here is the final shape for this position of the 2-5-1. Barring the 3rd fret, I have my ring finger on the D string 5th, my middle finger 4th fret of the G, and my pinky on the 5th fret of the B. Just like that. Alright, so we have the D minor 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. The G 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can throw in the flat 13. And the C major 7 chord, which is oftentimes played playing on the first measure, but then on the second measure, the index finger comes up a fret, so you're sharp in the root. That way there's a walk up back to the D minor 7. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Super classy, super common way of playing the 2-5-1. Okay, great work everybody. You've mastered 2 different positions of the 2-5-1 progression in the key of C. Real quick, I just want you to practice playing through that second position, that middle position, and add in a little bit of a comp rhythm to it. So that means that we're taking each chord and just pumping the hand, shortening the notes. Sounds great over the D minor 7, the G dominant 7, C major 7, even sharpen the root note to create C sharp minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so awesome chord shapes, very, very, very common way to strum through that progression. Okay, now moving into section 4 of this lesson, we're calling this the upper position of our 2-5-1. It's going to look and sound like this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with the comp. Okay, so another super common way of playing a 2-5-1. Find the 10th fret, your root note D, for that 2 chord. Okay, so that's going to be 10th fret, low E string. Then we're going to kind of set up like a little A chord shape on the 10th fret. D string, G string and the B string 10th fret with the middle ring and pinky. Okay, so that's your first chord, D minor 7. Next, one of my favorite jazz and blues chords, G9. Alright, middle finger 10th fret of the A string. The index finger is playing the major third, okay, on the D string 9th fret. Then we're going to have the G string, B string, and high E string barred with the ring finger, 10th fret. Alright, sometimes I'll take my pinky, find the 12th fret of the high E string just for a little extra flavor. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the C major 7 chord rooted off of the low E string. Index finger 8th fret of the low E, your ring finger and your pinky 9th fret D and G, and your middle finger is going to be on the 8th fret of the B string. This is also every single major 7 chord shape in the book. Okay, so you know one, you know them all. The only thing you need to know to be able to identify them is what root note you're playing. So this is a C note on the 8th fret of the low E string, and so this is C major 7. Okay, so putting that together nice and simple, we have the D minor 7 for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, transition to G9, 2, 3, 4, C major 7, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent work, everybody. We're moving on to our final position of the 2-5-1 progression in the key of C. I'm calling this position upper position variation. Okay, so we're going to the octave here. So, just a moment ago, we learned how to play the 2-5-1 in this upper position. Now we're going to variate it. It's going to sound like this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. Gonna add in a little bit of melody with this. Very, very cool. I throw this oftentimes into my solos. Okay, so this first shape, we got the bar, index finger, 10th fret, D, G, B, and high E string. But I'm also going to grab the 9. That's going to be the 12th fret of the high E string. So that makes this chord D minor 7, add 9. Okay. Sometimes I'll take the pinky off and just go to a regular D minor 7. Alright, a little piece of our G9 chord that we had a moment ago is just going to look like this. I like to play it with my index finger on the 9th fret of the D string, and now my middle finger barring over those 3 strings, G, B, and high E string 10th fret. Pinky can go back up on the 12th fret as a little melody option. Alright, so far you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then finally we're going to have this really beautiful and extremely useful version of our C major 7 chord, in a position that I call my staircase position. Okay, so index finger 7, high E string, the middle finger on the B string 8, the ring finger on the G string 9, and the pinky on the 10th fret of the D string. The staircase position. Put all 3 together, we have 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this staircase position, just before I leave you, I want you to know that this is one of the most useful positions for setting up melody lines over this progression, because this C major 7 chord comes right from the C major scale and can be arpeggiated to set up beautiful jazzy lines in the key of C. Alright everyone, thanks so much for checking out this lesson on the 2-5-1 jazz chord progression. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to my supporters at patreon.com/SwiftLessons. Hope you're enjoying the bonus resources. I got many more videos coming up, so keep checking back. Please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia, saying happy picking.